afternoon and welcome to the Midday News on Sri FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kesmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Ghana Armed Forces to collaborate with small-scale miners in renewed anti-Galamsey clampdown as government races against time to avert a major shutdown by Labour. With details on the raft measures of the government and what it says will be done. Also coming up, a Ghana Employers Association has appealed to Labour to call off its impending strike. We'll tell you more of this plus some other stories all coming up in the next 30 minutes. Thank you very much for joining us today. Now, barely 24 hours to organize Labour's nationwide strike. The Ghana Employers Association is appealing to Labour to call off the strike. Now, the Employers Association says that any nationwide strike by organized Labour will have dire impact on the businesses of employers. Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Employers Association, Alex Frimpong, who spoke exclusively to our Labour correspondent, Daniel Opoku, proposed dialogue between Labour and the government to avert this
We have had a series of discussions with policymakers, drawing attention to the negative impact this Galamsey is having on the environment and even the social consequences in the communities. So that is not something that the employers have been silent for. Again, the organized labor issue for me is very, very important. What I think they say is that if you take a step back in our collective effort to rid Galamsey from our country, the role of organized labor in bringing this matter to the fore has really caught national attention. And for the association, I think it's a very, very important agenda that they set. So we are working with them on how we can try as much as possible to resolve this matter. Well, there are so many ways of resolving this matter. Already, when organized labor embarked on this venture, they gave government a lot of options on what they have to do. So let's see how government takes steps to address the concerns they have and the measures they are proposing. If at the end of the day, we all believe that these measures are something that can be done and they can be achieved and ultimately can address the Galamsey menace, I think we are in full support.
And you heard right there the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Employers Association. Now, organized labor, among others, is demanding that there is a declaration of the state of emergency against small-scale mining. Also, they want the revocation of LI 2462, which permits mining in forest reserves. The creation of special courts dedicated to prosecuting offenders involved in illegal mining. Meanwhile, the government, in a bid to avert the strike, has announced a series of measures to clamp down on illegal small-scale mining, including a collaboration between the Ghana Armed Forces and small-scale miners. Let me read a bit of that to you. It says, concluded operational measures to intensify Operation HALT. Also, whatever measures can be taken within the context of a state of emergency on the river bodies, the law strengthens us or mandates us to take those measures. And I think the focus of the government is to continue with that. Small-scale mining is not permitted in forest reserves by the Attorney General, and the President and the government will have to decide. And that's coming from the Lands Minister, Samuel Abu Jinapor. We have on the line with us Francis Poku. He's Financial Secretary for the Ghana Small Scale Miners Association. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Mr. Poku. Can you hear us? Okay, we seem to have a challenge with the line to Francis Poku, who is a financial secretary for the Small Scale Miners Association. Or try and reconnect to him. Let's see whether he can hear us. Francis, can he hear us? Okay, he can hear us. We will correct that and bring that to you. You're still here on the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. Let's see whether we can hear Francis Poku now. Hello, Francis. Can you hear us? I will try and correct that line to Francis Poku, who is the financial secretary to the Small Scale Miners Association. But ahead of that, let's look at the unions that are likely to join the October 10 anti-Galamsey strike. Public Services Workers Union, also Ghana Mines Workers Union, senior staff of the University of Ghana, University Teachers Association of Ghana, Construction and Building Materials Workers Union, Ghana Private Road Transport Union. We had a representative of this group last evening on Hot Edition. Also Ghana Private Road Transport Union of Industry, Commerce and Finance Workers, Ghana National Association of Teachers, also National Association of Graduate Teachers. Now, there are some unions that are not likely to participate in the strike. Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, Coalition of Concerned Teachers, Teachers and Education Workers Union, Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, as well as the Ghana Medical Association, also giving indication that it may not necessarily join this strike. And in a related development, Ghana and the Government and Hospital Pharmacists Association has affirmed its full support for the nationwide strike by organized labor. And we'll be bringing you more on that. Let's try for the last time if we can hear Francis Poku, Financial Secretary to the Small Scale Miners Association. Good afternoon to you if you can hear us. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, my sister.
Can you confirm if your association has been contacted to assist the military flush out illegal miners?
Yes, let me say good afternoon to your terrorist listeners. Yes, we got a letter from the authorities, the government yesterday. So we have duly been contacted on that issue.
How equipped is the Ghana Small Scale Miners Association to take on such a campaign with the military?
Yeah, there is an evidence. There's an evidence available from what we did previously as to how in the time past we helped the government to get rid of those who were working on the water bodies, those dredges. So in terms of how we are equipped, I would say that we have a team in place. We have, guys, we are taking them through, the normal routine, military routine. So we are fully equipped to support.
Fully equipped, you say, but you also do understand that the dynamics of what we're dealing now seem to be a bit different. How do you intend to go about this operation?
Yeah, true. The dynamics as we are witnessing now is a bit dicey. But you see, when we put heads together, and then with the support from the government, and then the military, I think together we can make headway. Because in the past we were, doing it with our own limited resources as an association. But now that the government is teaming up with us, or has given us opportunity to come on board and then join with the military, I think in terms of logistics, in terms of further trading, we will have access to some of these things that are needful for us to be able to execute the assignment to a successful end. So it's about, teamwork. It's about understanding. It's about putting the vision ahead of us. It's about sacrifice. So I think together we can fight it and then get a good story to tell.
Thank you very much, Francis Poku, Financial Secretary for the Small Scale Miners Association. I was telling you earlier about Government and Hospital Pharmacists Association affirming its support for the nationwide strike by organized labor. We're joined by Dr. Emmanuel Owiafe. He's National Chairman, Government and Hospital Pharmacists Association, GOSPA. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
Doc, part of your statement says GOSPA will not be joining the nationwide strike. We fully support the organized labor's request and call on the government to promptly tackle the issue of Galamsey. Can you explain to us what this means? It sounds a bit contradictory.
What we meant to say is that, yes, first and foremost, we are in full solidarity with, the intent of organized labor. Yes, we want to draw the government's attention for the fight against illegal mining, which we have espoused over the time about, of course, the devastating effects it is having on our environment and even on the very health of the people. But unfortunately, as critical care providers within the health sector who are providing pharmaceutical, services to the population, we are unable to, partake of it in its form and kind as it is. Unfortunately, organized labor has been silent on even the modus operandi of this strike. Suffice to say, just, a total outright strike. And we think we need to, for a better word, we need to strategize on how we will carry it out as, residential healthcare providers. And so, yes, we are directing our members to, for the time being, still be at post and work as we try to smoothen these things out.
So let me understand, is it that you're also thinking of partially joining the strike? But in a way that will not affect essential service?
Yes, we would not want essential services to be disrupted. As and when the situation presents itself, I think the leadership will act in the right way.
Let me also find out from you, your association as a whole, what has been the direct impact of illegal mining on you?
Within the health sector, we've spoken about the fact that, of course, we have had a number of cases whereby people are reporting in with several kinds of medical conditions. We've talked about respiratory tract infection, and some people actually degenerating even into some kinds of cancer. We have similarly spoken about the fact that we're experiencing instances where newborn children are, being birthed with some kinds of defect. And then we've reiterated the fact that the cost for the treatment and management of some of these conditions, particularly with the medicines, are so much expensive. And so, of course, governments ought to act in that sense. So definitely there is so much effect, on the health of the people as a result of Galamsey. I think we also reiterated as pharmaceutical care providers that this has a direct bearing on, the cost of some medications, even particularly infusions that are dispensed to patients. And so definitely there are health implications of this cost. But we think we should strategize properly so that in the bid to kind of raise awareness, draw government's attention, we don't also kind of create another situation where the health of the people can also be endangered. A total outright shutdown of the healthcare provision system will be very catastrophic to the nation.
We'll end it here. Thank you very much, Dr. Emmanuel Owiafe. He's the National Chairman, Government and Hospital Pharmacists Association. Some 15 minutes past the hour of 12. When we come back, we'll bring you more on this plus some other issues. Stay with us.
Big money, money, money. Want more money, more moolah, more kudi, more sika, or more l'argent?
Yes.
Then win Win more moolah with 30 Ghana Cedis free credits when you play Game Park's Pick 1 and Pick 4 games for the first time.
How?
Just dial *946# or visit the nearest Game Park agent to play, get your first bet, and win on us with a 30 Ghana Cedi welcome bonus.
Oh, yes. It's all about the moolah.
Win more moolah with Game Park today. Go to GameParkGames.com for more information. Game Park is licensed by the NLA. Play responsibly. Not suitable for persons under 18 years.
And you're still here on the Midday News on Sri FM 92.7. Thank you so much for staying. Let's have this quick conversation with Anthony Morrison. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and a very good afternoon.
It goes without saying that the impact of illegal mining on agriculture has been massive, as we can see from data and reports from various communities. But again, we understand that there are people who are unwilling to support this action called by Labour to tackle it due to political interest. How are they impacted indirectly, really, by the impact of illegal mining?
Okay, thank you very much. From our side as an industry, we are not only seeing this from the point of health, the current condition of the water, the soil, the quality of soil, but overall, what we are seeing is loss of livelihood. Now, let me put this into context, and you appreciate it from the data point of view. As a country, we have 57% of the rural population involved directly in agriculture. This is more than the number of people involved in Galamsey, or directly or indirectly involved in Galamsey. Now, we have over 7 million people directly who are doing agriculture, farming. And these are made up of those doing livestock, aquaculture, and crops. And we have a population of 13 million who are directly and indirectly involved in agriculture. And this includes the market women, the post-harvest people, the aggregators, and the factories. So when we are supporting this call, we are supporting it from the fact that the basis for the survival of this country lies solely on the halt, the stop, and ultimate elimination of Galamsey and illegal mining in the country. The Chamber just returned from a 1-month-long field trip in all the 6 northern regions. And we can tell you the devastating conditions under which people are losing their livelihoods, and they do not have any source of support for them to survive.
So
now, while we are talking about all this, I can give you a scenario. Some of the areas we visited, around 5 a.m., you would think that the youth and children are under spell. In the morning, they are all rushing to the forest. These are children that ought to be in schools. From 7 years, 8 years, they are all going into the forest. And we ask, what are they going to do? And this is Galamsey driving the community, and it's also depriving of the agriculture sector, labor.
So what you're saying indirectly is that the unwillingness of others to support this fight would only worsen the situation we have now.
Certainly. In fact, when I listen to the GMA call for the fact that they don't want to go on strike, let me tell you, we the farmers do not have what it takes to separate the chemical from the water that we use. So we will use it anyway for the irrigation, for the food. We may probably decide that for the purpose of our own survival, we will depend on what? The rainfall. Then the one that we use the bad water to irrigate, we'll send it to the market. And that is, the result will be the overpopulation that will happen at the hospitals. So let's be careful how we choose and pick and ask them how we treat our so-called breed and very unsubstantiated situation, because this is the consequences of this galamsey can throw Ghana into serious insecurity.
Quite serious reality you're painting for us. But my last question to you, are you able to tell us the estimated losses farmers have experienced due to illegal mining activities?
Well, we have, over the past 7 years, Cocoa Board has downgraded its national production capacity no less than 500 million. Now, take cocoa out of it. We're talking about oranges, mangoes, coconuts, vegetables, yam, cassava, and all these things that we export. And we're talking about an estimated $1.7 billion annual losses. And that also adds on to already post-harvest losses that we have, which is in over 10 billion. So at the end of the day, we are gravitating towards a very bad abyss of food insecurity.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Anthony Morrison, Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Agribusiness. I was telling you earlier the demands of organized labor and the response from the government. And even now, we're hearing from the government, from that statement coming in, that indeed the military will be collaborating with the small-scale miners to try to deal with this. But you've heard that organized labor says these measures announced by the government are not far-reaching enough. Daniel Opoko is our labor affairs correspondent. He's right here in the studio with me just to have a quick conversation on this. Daniel, just really tell us on the labor front ahead of this much anticipated strike, what's happening?
Right, so organized labor meeting 2 p.m. today, after the encounter with the Minister of Employment and Labor Relations last night, where normally industrial relations, there's something called trade-off. So labor gives something out, government also gives something out. The reason you are seeing this statement, you just read a short while ago. But when we listen to Mr. Yanjeka Bono, who ahead of the meeting has been saying that the measures by government basically are not sustainable, and they want something very concrete that will convince them to avert the impending strike tomorrow. But that decision can be taken around 2 p.m. today, when all of them meet as a constituent, where the leadership that went into yesterday's meeting will brief them. Then obviously, if they buy into that, then clearly they may have to step down the intention to strike. Other than that, they may have to proceed with the strike. But from where I sit, and having done some few calls and checks, and spotting Mr. The Secretary General of TUC, I saw him this morning with a lot of smiles on his face, even though he decided not to speak to us. We're just waiting for the meeting.
How did you interpret that smile you were talking about?
Usually when you have leaders smiling, the rights coming out of the negotiation or a meeting, or a meeting done just now or a previous day, you are able to read that clearly. Then they are not going to embark on the strike, because clearly there will be consensus. But why? Because over the years, within the space, when you're a union leader and you're not satisfied with the decision, you don't even honor other engagements. You wait till you meet the entire council before you take a decision.
Wait, I want to understand. You're saying that it's likely they may not go on the strike?
Based on the consensus that they have done. And that's what they'll be briefing them today. For Labour to proceed on strike after tomorrow, then clearly what they were told or what they will be telling them, they will not buy into that. Because based on what they said, government has made some adjustments with most of the issues that they raised. Because all of them believe that there cannot be a total ban, and also a state of emergency is a problem. If we do, there should be a state of emergency or a total ban, government within 3 months cannot be able to resolve all the problems that they have raised. So they want some kind of commitment, and that is what they have seen. That is another part of the commitment which has not been mentioned: the need for all political parties to come together and someone sign a pact.
But how many pacts haven't we signed?
There have been several pacts that they have signed. And
on different issues,
exactly. Different, or not on galamsey necessarily. That's what organized labor has been calling for. So this afternoon, right after 2 p.m., we are likely to see them being able to get. We also anticipate that it's going to be another heated argument again, just as what happened.
But eventually, they are going to say that we are okay with what the government is saying, so we will not embark on a strike.
Clearly, you have a section that will be satisfied with what government has said, and one section will also be extremely dissatisfied with what government has said. They believe there should be a total ban. They want to see all mining activities stopped. That will happen today. But we trust because there are a lot of calls from a lot of background consultation discussions for Labour to step down, because the impact of the strike is going to be dire.
Well, we look forward to the outcome of that meeting. Hopefully a decision is taken that will be in the interest of the country. But thank you very much, Daniel Opoku, Labour Affairs correspondent. We say a bit longer on this, and the continuous pollution of the once potable Mankran River has compelled residents of Mankraso in the Shanti region to now rely heavily on groundwater. Ibrahim Abubakar visited the area to assess the current state of the river. He joins us live on the line. Ibrahim, what can you tell us?
Well, like you rightly said, for now, the residents are unable to use the Mankran River anymore. And also, they complain that they are unable to rely on the tap water because, one, it doesn't flow regularly, and whenever it even begins to flow, then the color of the water is said that they cannot use it for even their domestic activities. So now they either have to buy or rely on rainwater or even the few boreholes that have been dug out in the area. And this is something they say is a challenge for them, for farmers, and threatening lives and livelihood in the area. And for that matter, they are also backing on calls to end Galamsey once and for all, since it is threatening their existence, their lives and livelihood, and other things. In fact, this is a water that they said just some few years back, it was clear that even if your coin or anything drops in the water, you can clearly see it and pick it up. But currently, it is polluted to the extent that if you try to even fetch it, it is just muddy and nothing can be done to salvage the situation as we speak. So they are urging government and also traditional authorities to ensure that they bring an end to this illegal activity.
And I know you've been interacting with some of them. Can you tell us, beyond what you said, briefly before we hear from them?
Well, exactly. It's a concern. Like I said, their complaint is that they are even unable to use the tap water because of its unwholesomeness, and also the absence of that, or their inability to use that water is even affecting them when they go to the farm and their lives. Let's listen to what they've been telling me on this.
Will help us on that for the Galamsey to stop, so that we get the clean river as we had earlier. It will be good for us.
Now, no, in any 3 days, we free from mobile. Na siswa ewure ifi ona me faso fi se me te atua siswa no kwan afro mko duru ya me hwe pipe na ye bu no a nsuo ni nyina change aye esi team.
3 days ago, upon my return from farm, I opened the tap and the water coming from it was just like the Mankran River. We plead with the traditional authorities as custodians of the land to be firm in dealing with illegal mining. The destruction is getting scarier, and we should not politicize this fight. It is about our future.
Omunya say NDC MPP dabi omani yie ene nyina yepe ye dache
Nso de California say nso ne nyina o. Enye nso
fa nye destroyed all our water bodies.
Say nkramofo ada
woro not for the intervention of some Muslim group.
Enye bisa
provided borehole in this area. We would be struggling to get water. If you don't carry water along to the farm, you won't get any to drink. Just some few years back, even if your coin dropped in the Mankran River, you can see it clearly and pick it up. There were different species of fish in the river, but not anymore due to the pollution by Galamsey.
And you heard that some residents of the Mankraso community in the Ashanti region. Ibrahim Abubakar is on the line with us just to wrap up our conversation. Ibrahim, beyond the complaint, what else are they doing to ensure that they help in the fight against this menace? We've lost Ibrahim Abubakar on the line. And that's it for the news here on Shri FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us today. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Have a good afternoon.
Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Michael Ogbodu. Coming up, financial analyst fears unstable forex market and recent increase in inflation will thwart expected policy rate cut ahead of the Yuletide.
Let's see how this plays, because we know that this is a period that most importers need more dollars. So this may come to a point that we may not see additional drop in the last MPC meeting.
Also, government launches Africa's first green finance taxonomy to boost sustainable investments.
We need to be able to address the complexities by developing frameworks that enable us to address the complexities associated with these high carbon activities.
And much later, energy analyst calls for petroleum sector integration in Ghana for price control.
We have managed to operate the upstream and downstream as segregated entities without linking them up. If you do strategies to link them up, then we'll be able to benefit.
Details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. Please stay. And thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story. US-based Professor of Finance Williams Pepra has cautioned businesses to temper their hopes for another reduction in the Bank of Ghana's key lending rate ahead of the Christmas season. While the Monetary Policy Committee recently slashed the policy rate by 200 basis points to 27%, Professor Pepra warns that rising inflation now at 21.5%, coupled with fluctuating forex rates, may prevent any further cuts in lending rates before the year ends.
What is going to happen is that now that this rate has come down by 200 basis points, the Ghana reference rate, which is the rate that the commercial banks use before they add the markup to charge their loans, we anticipate that this rate must also drop from the 29% to around the 27%. So all depend on what will happen to our foreign exchange situation. If we're able to come out with some form of stability in the foreign market, especially the cedi dollar and the pound relationship, and then that anticipation is higher for us to see a little bit drop about 100 basis points in the last MPC rate. So let's see how this plays, because we know that this is a period that most importers need more dollars. So this may come to a point that maybe we may not see additional drop in the last MPC meeting.
So that was US-based Professor of Finance Williams Pepra. Away from that, the Ministry of Finance has launched the first phase of the Ghana Green Finance Taxonomy, a groundbreaking move that positions the country as the first African nation to develop a framework for channeling investment into sustainable projects. This forms part of government's commitment to climate action under the Paris Agreement. The following 3 Business News Desk report has the details.
Ghana has become the first African country to introduce a green finance taxonomy, a key framework aimed at directing both public and private sector investments into environmentally sustainable projects. The first phase of this initiative was launched by Deputy Finance Minister Alex Ampabing at the Accra SDGs Investment Fair 2024. The taxonomy is expected to play a crucial role in promoting low-carbon growth and meeting Ghana's climate action commitments under the Paris Agreement by providing a clear classification system for what constitutes green investments. It will enhance transparency, increase investor confidence, and attract capital from domestic and international sources. This move is seen as a vital step toward addressing challenges like climate change, poverty, and food security, while unlocking new green growth opportunities for the country.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report. Meanwhile, Minister of Finance Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, in his remarks, has underscored the opportunities the Green Finance Taxonomy provides for Ghana, while calling for prudent implementation measures for the economy not to be negatively impacted.
Transition offers many opportunities for economies such as Ghana and those of developing economies. But we also know that there are complexities in transitioning from carbon-intensive activities to low-carbon activities. This requires some sacrifices. This requires some hard decisions, and this is why we need to develop the taxonomy. And in doing this, we are using a phased approach that will lead us to eventually developing a transitional taxonomy, and also design taxonomy for specific high carbon industries like oil, gas, mining. We need to be able to address the complexities by developing frameworks that enable us to address the complexities associated with these high carbon activities.
Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam speaking there. Away from that, an energy analyst has suggested Ghana links its upstream and downstream petroleum sectors. Dr. Yusuf Suleimana notes that this will help mitigate price fluctuations in fuel prices at the local pumps. He's of the view that linking the sectors allows for greater control over the entire value chain from exploration to retail, which he believes can lead to cost savings, improved efficiency, and enhanced profitability.
We haven't had any strategic advantage when oil prices are going up and when oil prices are coming down, because we have managed to operate the upstream and downstream as segregated entities without linking them up. If you do strategies to link them up, then we'll be able to benefit when the oil prices are booming or when we have the bust cycles. And so strategically, if you're an oil producer and you equally import finished products, you need to have a strategy, and the strategy is that you need to have a workable formula where you are able to cascade the benefits from the upstream to the downstream and from the downstream to the upstream. If oil prices are going up, the downstream is going to struggle. If you've budgeted for, let's say, $70 and you are now having $75, that difference of $5, don't think that is just a common windfall. You can have a way of cascading partially or fully back to the downstream to have a way of cushioning the downstream.
Energy analyst Dr. Yusuf Suleimana. Now, the Director of Business Support and Policy at the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, Franklin Owusu-Kakari, has called for a deliberate push to eliminate barriers to intra-African trade. Speaking on the need for seamless transportation of goods and services across the continent, he highlighted the ongoing efforts to educate the public on the African Union's Agenda 2063, stressing that it is time to turn words into action, particularly with the support of the African Continental Free Trade Area after.
If we can be able to begin to harness some of the approach and remove some of the barriers of intertrade, even transportation. If I need to transport goods and services to South Africa, to Morocco, I need to hit Europe before I hit back to my own continent. These are all areas it has become a lot of talk over the years. But we believe that we can begin to now be deliberate. Let's put action to the words from various communiques that have been developed from different meetings, from ECOWAS sessions, from AU, so we can be able to do this. This week I'm doing a lot to be able to educate people on the Agenda 2063, where we have 7 aspirations to create that kind of bond for Africa. It's been there, and we are looking at it that in the next, by 2063, Africa should get to that level. But that is a long way. If we can start bit by bit, I believe that we can get somewhere. The roadblocks are there. A lot of young people are suffering. They want to just transport some goods and services to even neighboring countries, Nigeria, Benin. You go through hustle and bustle to get your product across. We have AFTA here, African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Yes, they are trying to be able to leverage. We need to let the talks go down so that we can be able to do more proactive discourse.
So that was the Director of Business Support and Policy at the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, Franklin Owusu-Kakari, bringing an end to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please check out our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Ogbodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe.